Hey, what's up, Spencer? My name is everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the mid-year book tag. You guys have probably seen it out and about in the YouTube sphere because now that we are halfway through the year, just about every booktuber is doing it. And I am not somebody who doesn't bow to pressure. I am definitely a peer pressurer, so because everybody else is doing it, let's do it too. There are 17 questions that talk about the books that I've read so far this year and some of the plans that I have coming up for the second half of the year, so let's jump right in. The first question is, what is the best book that you've read so far this year? And for me, it is definitely going to be Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. This is a post-apocalypse type story where our main character is a trans man who grew up in this cult that released a virus onto the world that brought about the apocalypse, and it is a very religious based viewpoint where it is thought that everybody who survived is like the chosen one and God is the person who kept them all safe. And our main character is supposed to be infected with a very special strain of this virus and is supposed to mutate into the Seraph, which is what we have here on the cover, and is supposed to kind of like kill everybody and bring everybody to heaven. But obviously our main character does not want to do that and runs away and meets a whole entire group of queer people, and they are trying to stop this kind of like second half of the apocalypse, and there is just so much going on in this. It is so good. I absolutely love that book so much, and I was just so blown away with how well it was written and everything that happened in it. Now, if we're going to have to talk about my favorite manga that I read this year, because I am somebody who reads a ton of manga, I would have to say the best manga that I've read is going to be Perfect World by Rei Aruga. This is a story about a girl who kind of meets up with her high school crush a couple of years after they have graduated. They've gone through college, they are now adults, they're living their own adult life, and our main character meets up with him again, only to find that now he is in a wheelchair, and they are getting to know each other again, and she is falling back in love with him again. But obviously there is the obstacle of him being in a wheelchair. He does not really believe that anybody would fall in love with him. He doesn't want anybody to fall in love with him because of the fact that his partner is going to have to also kind of be his caregiver. He has a spinal cord injury that makes it so that he can't feel anything from the waist down. So there are lots of times in which he needs help going to the bathroom or doing other like really intimate personal things that he thinks should not be expected of a girlfriend, and he doesn't want to expect that of a girlfriend. So she is very there and willing to be in a romantic relationship and like do what the work is, but he is kind of a little bit adverse to that because, you know, there's a whole entire extra layer that's going to be going on in their relationship that he's kind of iffy about. I really enjoyed this because, one, it was really sweet to see their relationship develop, and two, it is a very interesting thing to read about what it is like to be disabled in Japan, because in Japan they do not really have disability laws the way that they do here in America. There is not any laws that require there to be wheelchair ramps. There are not laws that require for many things to be accessible. So our main character here is an architect, and he is trying to push disability friendly type architecture, but none of his clients really want it, and there's that extra layer of him trying to fight for accessibility, even though it isn't really something that is currently expected in Japan. Question number 2 is, how many books have you read so far this year? And I have read a total of 154 books so far this year. My reading goal is 275. I am ahead by 16 books according to my story graph. And with this pace, I should be succeeding. with my goal of 275 books before I hit the end of the year. Question number 3 is, what is the best sequel that you have read so far this year? And for me, it is definitely going to be Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I know that this is only the first one. I only own the first one. I had to get the other ones from the library. I definitely picked Heartstopper for this because the first 3 volumes were very cute. They were adorable. They're about Charlie and Nick being high schoolers, falling in love, trying to figure out their sexuality, and being queer in high school, and everything that comes along with being a teenager and figuring out relationships for the first time. You know, all of that. The reason why I picked Heartstopper is because volume 4 hits very hard and kind of comes out of left field, where the first 3 are really cute and adorable, and then volume 4 goes really hard into mental health and eating disorders and is kind of very jarring, not in a bad way, but it just really is such a tone shift and really changes so much of what is going on. I really liked it. We don't really talk a lot about eating disorders in boys or really show what and how friends and family members can do to support somebody who has an eating disorder. So I felt like volume 4 was very good. I actually ended up reading it twice because I was just so personally impacted and related so hard to the journey that was going on and the struggle that was happening of wanting to support a partner, but also needing to step to the side and let professionals do their job, and only being able to be there kind of like as a cheerleader as opposed to somebody who can like fix somebody. Like, that was kind of a good conversation that happens in volume 4, is you cannot fix your partner and you should not be expected to fix your partner. However, you can help them get support from professionals who do have the skills to help them heal and become better. And I just absolutely loved it. I highly recommend Heartstopper. Obviously, be mindful of how hard volume 4 is, but absolutely everybody should read it. Question 4 is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to. And for me, it is I Want to Be a Wall Volume 3. I have been waiting so long for this volume to come out. I had been checking online repeatedly of when this volume was going to be coming to America, and finally I saw it in Barnes & Noble. This is a series about a girl who is asexual, aromantic, and she decides to beard marry a gay man, as in they decide to pretend that they are into each other and that they love each other and that they're going to do this heterosexual marriage, when in reality, they're just going to love and support each other. And I think that it is cute and a beautiful, non-traditional relationship. Even though they're both queer, they still really support each other. Like, the guy in this relationship ends up getting a book called 500 Things That Good Husbands Do. And he tries to go through the book and like do all of the things to show that even though, you know, he and this girl aren't sexually involved, he still cares about her and still wants to support her and her interests and the things that she has going on in her life, while she, on the other hand, supports him in his unrequited love of his best friend. And I just think that their relationship is really cute, and it shows that relationships can be just as important even when they're not romantic relationships. We can still care about each other and support each other and have meaningful relationships without having to have sex with each other or having to have romantic love with each other. We can have friends love, and we can still do all of these things to help each other out. Question 5 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't really have anything. I don't really keep up with authors and what they have coming out in the future. I have very few authors that I'm really into. V.E. Schwab is really the only person who I kind of look at when their things are coming out and anticipate their releases. So I don't actually have anything that I am anticipating for the second half of the year. Question 6 is, what is your biggest surprise of the year? And this is kind of a vague question. So for this, I decided to pick PTSD Radio by Masaki Nakayama. The reason why I picked this is because in volume 3 of PTSD Radio, there is a hard tonal shift that made me be like, is this a bit? Is this a bit? What is happening right now? If you're interested in reading this, then you may want to skip over this part because I am kind of gonna talk a little bit about some spoilers, but also at the same time, it's kind of not a spoiler because this is open information available to the public. So halfway through this series, our author, Masaki Nakayama, starts being like, hey guys, like, I know that I haven't really published any chapters in a little while, but it's because I've been getting sick, and I've been getting sick with the same horror phenomena that my characters have been going through. So reading that for the first time, I was like, is this a bit? Is the author trying to make it seem as though scary things are happening when they're not really? Because I have known plenty of authors to do a bit for their book, to pretend that things are really happening. For example, Darren Shan of the Night Circus series, the main character has his name, and he basically writes it as though it happened to him. So I thought maybe that was what was happening here, is that the authors try to be like, ooh, I'm being haunted. No. If you go and you Google, you will find that the author really was experiencing supernatural phenomenon to the point that he stopped being a horror manga artist. This series is not complete because he was getting harassed by ghosts so much that he just stopped being a horror manga artist. So obviously that came out of nowhere and surprised me and made me be like, huh? What are you talking about? This is a real thing. So yeah, I don't think any book has really kind of caught me off guard the way that this one did, and kind of freaks me out the way that this one did. If you are somebody who likes Junji Ito, then you should definitely read PTSD Radio because it has the same vibes as Junji Ito, but obviously has an element of reality to it that Junji Ito's books do not have. Question 7 is new favorite author. For me, I'm going to be picking Andrew Joseph White, who is the person who wrote Hell Followed With Us. There is only one other book that he has put out. I have not read it yet, but I was so into this book that I was like, damn, I definitely need to read that other book. I need to see what is going on. Obviously, I can't fully say that this is a new favorite author until I've read his other work, but I am just very into wanting to know what else. If this is the second book that he's written, like, damn, I want to see what's going on in his first one, and I'm very interested to see what else he's going to be publishing in the future. Question 8 is going to be new fictional crush. I don't do fictional crushes. I do shipping. I ship characters. And my big ship right now is definitely going to be Gon and Killua from Hunter x Hunter. I am reading through the entirety of the Hunter x Hunter manga, and I love these two. They are super adorable. They are only 12 years old, and yet they will die for each other. They care about nothing but each other and being there for each other. I really like the trope of characters who are competing against each other but are kind of like on the same side at the same time, kind of like Hinata and Kageyama. They're always competing against each other, but obviously they're on the same volleyball team, so they're also working together. Gon and Killua are very much like that, where they're competing against each other, but when it comes down to it, it's them against the world, and they would do anything for each other, and I think that that's adorable. Question 9 is a book that made you cry, and it is very difficult for books to make me cry, but I did get one this year, and for me, it's going to be Who I Was With Her by Nita Tyndall. This is a book about our main character who has a girlfriend, but she is very reluctant to be out about the fact that she and her girlfriend are together. And then, unfortunately, very tragically, her girlfriend dies in a car accident. And our main character is dealing with the aftermath of that because she was not out about her love of her girlfriend. And now she has to decide about whether she's going to stay in the closet, whether she's going to be out about it. Obviously, like, she's dealing with the grief of losing her partner, and nobody knows that they were partners. So everybody thinks that she's being really weird about the fact that some random girl from a random school just died in a car accident. And the thing that definitely really got me was the fact that it doesn't matter whether Corinne decides to come out or stay in the closet or anything. Her girlfriend is dead, and there is nothing that is going to bring her girlfriend back. And she has so much regret about not coming out when her girlfriend was alive and not being able to show her love for her girlfriend when she was alive. And just, it's so heart-wrenching and so hard to read all of this stuff, knowing that in the long run, it doesn't matter. She's still dead. There's nothing that's going to bring her back. And that is just, oh my God, that is just so hard, so tough. Who? And in contrast to that is question number 10, books that made you happy. For me, is going to be the series I Think Our Son is Gay by Okura. This is a manga from the point of view of a mother who, as her son is getting older, I think he's going into the 10th or 11th grade, she's starting to pick up on some hints that her son may be gay, and starts to become more aware of the way that she talks about gay people, the way that she kind of pushes heterosexuality, the attitude that the Japanese culture has around gay and trans people in general. And she starts to be more mindful of the way she's acting and starts to change the way that she's doing things and the way that her husband is doing things, because she wants it to be so that if her son is gay, that he's going to feel safe and comfortable coming out to them eventually in the future. I just think that this whole entire series is just really cute and adorable, and is really nice to see somebody who is making those changes. A lot of the time we see it from the point of view of the children trying to deal with the parents, but not really the other way around, of the parents coming to the conclusion of their children being gay and how they are making the changes to be more accepting and what they're doing. So I think that all of the things that the mom does, all the things that she does right, sometimes she messes up a little bit, but hey, nobody's perfect. But she is out there and she's making the effort, and she's starting to get to know more gay people and changing her attitude and the way that she thinks and stuff. And it's just really cute, the things that she does to try and be more accommodating to her son, whether or not he is gay. The next question that we have is the most beautiful book that you bought. And for me, I'm going to have to say that it's The Girls We Sent Away by Megan Church. I think that this is a beautiful cover. I love the pink going into the purple, all of the stars that we have going around it. This is a very simple cover, but I still think that it looks so nice, especially the spine here. The spine also looks very nice, and this is one that I could look at for quite a while and would be very happy with. Next up is What Do You Need to Read by the End of the Year? I have a couple of books. I have a whole yearly TBR, and I have read through quite a bit of it so far, and still have a couple of things that I need to get through. And some of those is, one, Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. I'm really interested in this because Chuck Tingle is well known for his parody stuff. He writes a lot of parody erotica, and that's kind of what made him very popular. Camp Damascus is more of a serious book about a gay conversion camp. I'm not fully familiar with what happens beyond that, except I think there's some horror happening at this gay conversion camp. And so I want to see what type of writing he does when he's taking himself seriously. When we're not doing parody, when we're trying to write like an actual story, I want to see what kind of skill that he has there. So I'm very interested in reading that. And a reread that I have that I'm also very interested in is The Beasties. This is a book that I read when I was in like the 5th grade, and is about a pair of siblings who move to a home where the surrounding forest is being strip cleared by construction sites, construction companies, and there is a group of mole people that live in this area, and these siblings end up getting into the mole people. They become like a part of the culture and stuff, and they're trying to stop this clearing. And the reason why I want to read it is because it is supposed to be very horror filled. Even though this is a book like for children, there is a lot of like body horror going on, because the way that the mole people continue living is they like harvest organs and stuff like that. And I just really remembered this book, even though I read it when I was in like elementary school. So I would really like to go back and reread it now that I'm in my 30s, now that I'm a full adult, and there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be more aware of now that I'm an adult. I want to go back and reread this story, and I'm very interested in it. Question 13 is, how many 5-star reads have you read this year? I'm going to say a lot. Most manga that I read, I end up giving a 5-star. It's not a guarantee that a manga is going to be a 5-star, but I have, according to my story graph, I have that I've given 82 books 5 stars. Half of those is the Hunter x Hunter series, which I fully read. It's a 400 chapters, and I didn't really feel like going through and trying to figure out exactly what my rating was for each volume. So I kind of just gave 5 stars to most of the Hunter x Hunter volumes. But yeah, a good portion of these 5 stars is just manga, because most manga that I read, I enjoy a lot and end up giving 5 stars. Question 14 is, what books do you want to reread? We already talked about the Beasties book that I wanted to do. Right now, I am also in the middle of rereading the Ugly series by Scott Westerfield. This is a dystopian fiction in which the world is, we have advanced to living in these really small cities that are very self-sustaining. And a big part of the reason why there is so much peace now is because when you turn 16, everybody gets an operation that turns you pretty, where you get your face is like perfectly symmetrical, and they fix everything that is wrong with your body, and then you spend a lot of time partying and stuff like that. And it turns out that when you get the pretty operation, they also kind of give you lesions in the brain that is going to make you very complicit and happy and non-confrontational. And that's part of how they have been able to manage things and make it so that we don't have war and we're not destroying the environment and stuff like that. But obviously, that isn't a very good thing. So this series is about pushing back against that and pushing for everybody to have the freedom to think for themselves, and that we need to be more mindful in our conservation efforts. We can't just be like, oh yeah, let's just make everybody complicit. We have to actually make real efforts towards being mindful of each other and mindful of the environment and the world that we live in and the choices that we make and stuff. There is like a companion series that goes with this series that I haven't read, which is part of the reason why I'm rereading this series, is I want to be able to continue on and see what the world continues being that Scott Westerfield has made. Whew. We are getting close to the end. Question 15 is books that you've been putting off. For me, I'm going to have to say the Dick Sharp series by Bernard Cornwell. I've read the first 2 books in this series, but I'm also kind of slow about it because this is a historical fiction series where a large portion of it is just our main character, Dick Sharp, going around and fighting in different historical battles. This is a good series because it is very obvious that the author has done a lot of research and really knows what he's talking about, but also is something that is taking me a little while to get through because this isn't my typical genre or type of series that I like reading. So I'm kind of being a little bit more avoidant with it than I probably need to be, especially since I can't get the audiobooks anymore. For some reason, my library had the audiobooks for the first 2 in the series, and now I just gotta regular read it with my eyes. Which is going to take a while, so better get on that. Question 16 is a book that you have read with mixed reviews, and the top one that I'm thinking of is definitely All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. This is the second most banned book of 2022, and this is just the memoir of George Matthew Johnson as he talks about what it is like growing up being a queer Black man and the things that he has done that isn't fully gender conforming, that he's really been judged for, and how his family has loved and supported him through just all of the trying times that has come in his life. So it's really nice to be able to see this person coming from a family that does love and support them and give them everything that they need going forward. There is essay in this book. If you were interested in reading it, that was what made it so banned, is there is incestual essay. And it's not very violent or very graphic, so it's not really that bad. It's just what the content is. That is what made it so banned. And the last question that we have for this tag is a 5-star prediction that you have for the rest of the year. I try not to have super high expectations for books, so then I won't be really let down. But one that I really do hope is a 5-star is going to be Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. The reason why I'm predicting this to be a 5-star is because this is Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson has published, I don't know, countless books, lots and lots and lots of books, but I also find this to be kind of an intimidating book for the same fact. So many people love Brandon Sanderson. So many people love the things that he puts out there. So I am really hoping that this ends up being a 5-star, but I'm also nervous because, oh my goodness, what if everybody else loves Brandon Sanderson? What if everybody else loves the writing that he does, except for me? What if I don't like it? Oh no, then I won't be like all the cool kids and nobody will like me. I'm just kidding. I'm hoping that this is a 5-star, but if it's not, that's also okay. I will try and read other things that Brandon Sanderson has wrote because I know that this is more of a fantasy and he's kind of more of a sci-fi guy and has a lot of sci-fi stuff going on. I picked this one as my first one to read from him because it seemed like maybe a good place to start with Brandon Sanderson because I know a lot of his books relate to one another and have like callbacks to one another and stuff. So I didn't want to pick up a book that I would be really lost in. This kind of seems like more of a standalone, so hopefully I'll be able to get into this and also love his work as much as everybody else seems to. All right, so that was the mid-year book freakout tag. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on this. Have you read any of these books? What is your favorite? What is your least favorite? All of that stuff. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more like it. But besides that, I hope that you stay safe and have a fantastic day. Bye.